Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Welcome to our channel. Thanks for coming. If you like what you see today, don't forget to click that subscribe button and that bell icon if you want to be notified when we're putting out new content. Welcome to our new project in Auburn, Washington. This is a permitted deck that we've been working on. We just are doing our first build update. We're kind of deep already into the framing process. We're almost ready to start laying decking. So let's go over what we've done so far and then get you caught up so that we can continue on. All right, let's check it out. All right, we have this plan that I've done for the permit, and this is an exploded view just so we had a little bit larger area to look at. So basically our beams are right here, and right here, and helical piles go in here, here, and here. There's 9 of them total, 3 per beam. And it's a 6x6 post, 6x12 beams. We did an upgrade because originally we were supposed to use 4x material, 2x10, which we still use, but 4x12s. Posts were supposed to be 4x6, but we upgraded to 6x6s. Here's the joist layout and some of the hardware we called out. Obviously this is cut off. There's a bunch of explanations on what we're doing and how we do it, but that's the plan. Let's go over each component with you and show you what we did, and then we can talk about what's next on the docket. All right, so the first thing we did was we installed our helical piles to pressure, and those are all laid out on our plan. And you can see these go about 6 feet deep. Some of them go a little bit deeper, just depending on the ground and soil conditions per footing. And then once we did that, we installed a bracket to hold the 6x6 post. And then all these 6x6 posts were set to elevation with a laser. So these were all cut to a certain height and then installed with some bracing to hold them plumb until we could get the beam on top. Once we got our beams on top of here, we added these strong tie decorative brackets. They're called outdoor accents, and they have a really nice heavy-duty washer and structural screw that gives you a positive post-to-beam connection. From there, we have our ledger. We had to do a lot of house prep on this particular project. So we had 2 extra days of filling and securing new blocks in between the floor joists of this house because there was no outside rim joists on the house. All the floor joists just came out and stopped. At the edge of the wall plate, there was no 2x10 outside rim joist anywhere on this house. So we had to add a bunch of blocking in between the joists because nobody did that before. They just thought it was okay to nail the ledger board right into the end grains of the joists and hold the deck up that way, which I'm surprised it was still intact because it surprised us that it was still standing as well as it was. Up in there, you can see we have a full 2x10 joist that's installed properly with the proper spacing on the fasteners. It's all locked together. And then once we got our ledger board on, we hung 2x10 joists to the ledger with Simpson LUS 210Z joist hangers. Those are a Z-Max hanger, and you can see those every 16 inches. Well, it's about every 14 inches actually. And then we installed some strong tie DTT1Zs up here. And what that does is it attaches to the joist and then into the top of the wall plate. The wall studs go like this, and then there's a top plate on top of the studs, and usually it's a double, and we have to screw that fastener into that wall plate for that bracket to work. So that's what we've done. We've identified where the interior wall plate was, so we know that we're into something solid. What that does is it keeps the deck from wanting to pull away from the house in a seismic event or some kind of movement, or just whatever to keep the deck from wanting to fall away from the house. Even though I know we don't need them because I have a positive connection on every fastener, we used Fasten Master ledger locks to lock this to the house. It's still code, and since this deck is permitted, we had to do it, so that's where those are. And once we had the joists placed where we wanted to, we toe nailed them all to the top of the beam, and then we took a 6-inch Fasten Master timber lock and pre-drilled the holes from the beam and put a timber lock up into the joist. And that acts as a positive connection from your beam to joist connection. Instead of using some of the hardwares that aren't as good looking, we opted to do this. Since there's gonna be gutters on here because there's also a waterproof bladder on this deck, you're never gonna see those fasteners. And then once our deck was framed, we went ahead and added some blocking to keep mid-span pressure blocking to keep the joists all locked tight and at the right span. And then we added a waterproof bladder, an EPDM waterproof bladder on top of the framing. So this whole section of the deck, the whole deck actually, is completely dry. It's been nice that it's been raining and this whole area is now dry. We can keep our tools or whatever down here. Clients have a hot tub down here, so it stays dry as well. And then we just have to have a gutter added up here where all these baffles drop in, and then it'll direct all the water away from dripping just everywhere, making a mess down here. So that's pretty much caught up with what we've done so far. The bladder's just done. We're just actually starting to put some of the fascia boards on the deck. Once that's done, we will start getting some decking up here and start installing some deck boards. Okay, so we're just about done with our bladder system. I'm just kind of going through some things in my head to make sure that we're ready to go. And I think I'm gonna rip down, I have this thin piece of door skin is what I call it. It's a really thin piece of plywood that we use to lay underneath wherever I need to make a cut on top of the bladder. So when I cut my straight lines for the deck, I don't pierce the bladder. So that's what I'm gonna do now, is rip down those strips. And then we're gonna start hauling some deck boards up onto the deck, and we'll start laying some deck boards. A couple other things I think we have to do still is we have to install a couple downspouts. So we're gonna get that done, and then we can actually start laying some deck boards. Okay, so right now I need to identify where the joists are in this center section of this deck, because I have a cut line that I have to cut decking on, and then I have a screw line that I need to add screws to. And I just grabbed a bunch of different markers to see what would work best on top of this G-tape. These are crayons by Pica marker, and I'm just gonna put a straight line. So that blue shows up really good, and so does that red. So those are a win. So either of those we could use. I have a couple different Sharpies. That gold, it seems like it's a little dry, but it doesn't really show up that as good. The black, boy, I don't think that one's got anything left in it. We have silver. That shows up really good. So I have a couple of those. Silver might be the ticket, but they also wear out quicker. And then I have a couple of leads, a Pica lead for our pencil, and that red shows up pretty good. Oops. And the yellow's a little crumbly. If it was in a pencil, it'd probably show up better. Here, let's do this. Throw this in. You're always supposed to load your Pica pencils from the mechanical pencil from the back. Never shove them through the front. Okay, so now we've got a yellow. That shows up pretty nice too. I think what I'm gonna do is use the Pica pencils to mark the center of my joist line, and then I'll mark a red mark where I need to do my cut line. That way we can identify, as we're screwing the deck down, I say, okay, there's our screw pattern. So anytime you see yellow through the decking, we'll put a screw. Eventually, that'll probably dissolve. I'm not gonna make super dark marks. And then the red will be just an indicator of my cut line. I just broke that again. So these don't work too good unless you have them in a pencil, which is what they're designed for. They're not designed to just sit here and mark. So there you go. I would either use these two crayons, which is a little bit thicker line, or I can use these Pica markers, and they give us a thinner line. So I think I'm gonna start with these and see how that works out. thanks for watching today. That's all the time we have for you. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about this build and all the parts and components and all the little stuff that we're doing to make it right. If you did, or you like what you saw, please don't forget to click that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Don't forget to like this video and leave us a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.